Every coin tells a story. A tiny piece of metal that carries the weight of time, history, and the spirit of a nation. Today we're diving into the world of old Indian coins. The coins that once lived in people's pockets, but are now treasures for collectors and symbols of a forgotten era. From the 1960s to the 1980s, it was a time when India was changing. Introducing new dreams, new notes, and a new currency system. The country was stepping away from the old Anna system and moving into the modern decimal currency era. Each coin from that period had its own identity, its own design, and its own unique story to tell. In this series we'll explore those hidden stories, the design, the metal, the real market value, and the rare secrets that make these coins truly priceless. So get ready to travel back in time and discover the golden era of Indian coinage, where every coin whispers, "I am not just metal, I am India's history." After India gained independence, the country began a major transformation, not just politically but economically too. One of the most symbolic steps of this change came in 1957, when India officially switched to the decimal currency system. 1 rupee divided into 100 new paise. And among the earliest coins of this new system was the 10 paise coin of 1965, a small yet iconic piece of India's monetary history. This coin wasn't just money, it was a message of progress, innovation, and modern identity. The 10 paise 1965 coin was minted in nickel brass, giving it a bright golden shine when it was new. Its shape was one of the most unique ever used in Indian coinage, a scalloped edge with 12 curves, also known as a floreel or flower shape. That design instantly made it stand out from other coins of the time. On one side of the coin you'll see the Ashoka lion capital, India's national emblem, standing tall with the words, Bharat, and India written on either side. Flip it over and you'll find the bold number 10 at the center with paise written in English and Hindi, and just below it the year 1965. This coin was minted at multiple locations across India, mainly Bombay, now Mumbai, Calcutta, now Kolkata, and Hyderabad. Each mint had a tiny mark beneath the date. A dot for Bombay, a diamond or star for Hyderabad, and no mark for Calcutta. Those tiny details now play a huge role in determining the coin's collector value today. In 1965, 10 paise had real purchasing power. You could buy a cup of tea, a packet of biscuits, or even a small bus ticket. It was a coin of the common people, simple, useful, and present in every wallet. But as years passed, inflation rose, and these coins slowly disappeared from circulation. By the 1980s, most of them were either melted, lost, or forgotten, until coin collectors began bringing them back into the spotlight. Now let's talk about its value. The 10 paise 1965 coin is considered one of the top vintage Indian coins from the 1960s. In average circulated condition, it may sell for around 20 Indian rupees to 50 Indian rupees. But if it's in uncirculated or proof condition, with sharp edges and clear lettering, it can easily fetch 200 Indian rupees to 500 Indian rupees or more in collector markets. Coins with rare minting errors, like double strike, off-center print, or missing lettering, are even more valuable. Such error coins can reach 1,000 Indian rupees to 3,000 Indian rupees, depending on rarity and demand. Many collectors also look for the Bombay Mint mark and the Hyderabad star, as these are slightly rarer than the Calcutta issue. Having all three versions together, Bombay, Calcutta, and Hyderabad, makes a beautiful and complete 1965 set that's highly collectible. But beyond money, the 10 paise 1965 coin represents something far greater. It marks India's confidence as a new nation stepping boldly into modernization. Its unique design symbolized unity in diversity, 12 scallops like 12 petals, each one representing strength, growth, and equality. Every scratch on its surface tells a story. Of shopkeepers giving change, of bus conductors collecting fares, of children jingling them in pockets buying candies after school. This coin has lived those everyday Indian moments that shaped a generation. Today, most of these coins are no longer in circulation, but their legacy continues in the hearts of collectors. Holding one feels like holding a piece of India's golden past, a reminder of simpler days and stronger dreams. So, if you ever find a 10 paise coin from 1965 lying around your home, don't ignore it. Take a closer look, check the edges, the mint mark, and the shine. Because what once was worth 10 paise could now be worth thousands. And much more in terms of history, nostalgia, and pride. The 10 paise 1965 isn't just a coin, it's a time traveler, carrying the story of India's growth, from the dreams of the 1960s to the reality of today. A golden reminder that sometimes, Even the smallest things can hold the biggest value. The year 1984, a time of change, challenge, and transformation. Across India, the 1980s were years of new beginnings. Color television had arrived, music was evolving, and technology was starting to shape everyday life. And quietly, in the middle of all that movement, a small but iconic coin was making its mark, the 20 paise coin of 1984. At first glance it might look simple, light, silvery, and modest. But the story behind this little piece of metal tells us much about the India of the 1980s. The country was moving toward industrial modernization, and even its coins reflected that progress. Unlike earlier issues made from nickel brass, the 1984 20 paise coin was minted in aluminium magnesium alloy, a light yet durable metal. This change wasn't random. It represented a practical step by the Indian government to make coins cheaper to produce and easier to carry. The switch to aluminium also gave the coin a new identity, bright, light, and futuristic for its time. Weighing just around 2.2 grams, it felt almost weightless in your palm, as if holding a piece of paper rather than metal. Its diameter measured 26 millimeters, giving it a broad face that proudly displayed its value. The obverse side carried the timeless Ashoka lion capital, standing strong with 4 lions symbolizing power, courage, pride, and confidence. On either side appeared Bharat and India, a perfect blend of heritage and bilingual balance. Flip the coin, and the reverse revealed the bold number 20, framed by grain stalks, a design symbolizing India's agricultural growth and self-reliance. Just below, the year 1984 was neatly inscribed, marking its birth in one of India's most eventful years. This design was elegant in its simplicity, no extra curves, no complex edges, just smooth, modern geometry. It reflected the minimalist design philosophy that defined Indian coinage through the 1980s. Most of these coins were produced at the Bombay, Hyderabad, and Calcutta mints. Below the date you could spot tiny mint marks telling their stories. A dot for Bombay, a star for Hyderabad, and no mark for Calcutta. Collectors today use these marks to trace each coin's origin, a kind of secret signature from the mint where it was born. In 1984, 20 paise still had value. You could buy a newspaper, a bus ticket, or a handful of candies. For children it was enough to feel rich for a day. People kept these coins in glass jars, piggy banks, and small cloth purses, saving them for simple pleasures that defined everyday life. But beyond its use in shops and markets, the 20 paise 1984 coin carries emotional weight. It witnessed an India standing at the crossroads, between the old and the new, tradition and technology, handcraft and industry. The shift to lightweight aluminium coins in the 1980s was more than an economic decision. It symbolized India's readiness to adapt, to move forward with innovation, to balance cost with efficiency. The 20 paise 1984 coin was a perfect example of that mindset. Over the decades, these coins began to fade away. Aluminium, being soft, didn't age as gracefully as brass or copper. Many coins got bent, worn, or lost their shine. By the late 1990s, 20 paise had little to no purchasing power, and by 2011, the denomination was officially withdrawn from circulation. Yet, in collectors' eyes, the 1984 issue still glows with historical charm. Even today, numismatists search for crisp, uncirculated examples, coins that survive time without scratches or discoloration. In such condition, they can fetch 100 Indian rupees to 400 Indian rupees, depending on rarity and mint mark. Error coins, double-struck pieces, misaligned dies, or off-center prints, can reach even higher prices, sometimes up to 1,000 Indian rupees or 2,000 Indian rupees. But the real value of this coin isn't just measured in money. It lies in memory. Think about all the hands it passed through, the shopkeeper returning change, the commuter paying fare, the student saving lunch money, the child flipping it for luck. Each coin carries silent stories from a time when 20 paise could still make a small difference. The 20 paise 1984 coin may look fragile, but it represents resilience, the resilience of a nation constantly renewing itself. Its light weight belies its heavy symbolism. It reminds us that even small things, made with purpose, can stand the test of time. Hold one in your hand and you'll feel more than metal, you'll feel history. You'll sense the hum of the 1980s, radio songs, crowded buses, handwritten letters, and bustling markets. That little aluminium disc carries echoes of laughter, work, hope, and change. Every scratch is a timeline. Every faded edge is a memory of someone who once depended on it. This is what makes the 20 paise 1984 coin special. It's not rare because it's old, but because it survived. And when you think about it, that's what India itself has always done. adapt, survive, and keep moving forward. The 20 Paise 1984 is a perfect symbol of that spirit. Small, simple, enduring. A silent witness to one of the most unforgettable decades in India's history. The year was 1970, a defining moment in India's post-independence journey. The nation was young, ambitious, and ready to move forward into a decade of change. From the smallest villages to the busiest cities, the hum of progress was in the air. And among the countless signs of that progress was a simple yet powerful symbol, the 50 paise coin of 1970. Half a rupee. Back then it meant something. It could buy a hearty meal, a bus ride across town, or a few letters home. It was more than currency, it was connection. A link between people, between work and reward, between need and fulfillment. The 50 paise 1970 coin carried that connection beautifully. Struck in copper nickel, it had a subtle silver tone, smooth, sturdy, and elegant. At roughly 5 grams in weight and 24 millimeters in diameter, it felt solid in your hand, a coin built to last. Its design spoke the language of dignity and simplicity. On the obverse, it bore India's proud emblem, the Ashoka lion capital, 4 lions standing back to back, symbolizing truth, power, and unity. Below the lions, the motto Satyameva Jayate, truth alone triumphs, inscribed in quiet confidence. To the left, Bharat. To the right, India. The perfect balance between heritage and modern statehood. On the reverse side, the design was clean and bold. At the center, the large numeral 50, with paise written in Hindi and English below. Around it, a subtle border, cleanly engraved. And at the bottom, the year 1970, marking its place in time. These coins were minted in Bombay, Calcutta, and Hyderabad, each leaving a small clue of origin under the date. A dot for Bombay, a diamond or star for Hyderabad, and no mark for Calcutta. Tiny details that collectors today treat like signatures of authenticity. During the early 1970s, the 50 paise coin had real strength. It was half a rupee, and a rupee could buy enough to feed a small family. At bus stations, railway counters, and local markets, the clink of 50 paise coins filled the air. They were everywhere, in pockets, purses, tin boxes, and shop drawers. But beyond its everyday use, the 1970 coin also tells a deeper story. It represents a moment when India was stabilizing after years of rebuilding. It was a time of new industries, new ideas, and new national confidence. Every coin minted in that year carried that sense of purpose. A quiet reminder that progress, like a coin's value, grows only when it's shared. Over the years, these coins traveled far. They passed through millions of hands, each one leaving a trace of time. They paid for food, for fuel, for books, for dreams. And slowly, as inflation crept upward, their power faded. By the 1990s, the 50 paise coin had become a small change people ignored. By the 2000s, it was mostly gone from circulation, a relic of an age when money still had weight. Yet, for collectors and history lovers, the 1970 issue remains a treasure. Its metallic composition gives it a timeless appeal. Unlike aluminum coins of later years, it doesn't corrode or fade easily. If you find one today in good condition, the details often remain crisp. The lines, the text, the edge, still as clear as the day it was minted. Value-wise, the 50 paise 1970 isn't just sentimental. A regular circulated coin might be worth 30 Indian rupees to 100 Indian rupees, but an uncirculated or proof coin, clean, sharp, and untouched, can go for 500 Indian rupees to 1,000 Indian rupees, depending on the mint mark and strike quality. And the truly rare ones, those with minting errors like double impressions, off-center designs, or misaligned dies, can reach 2,000 Indian rupees or more among serious collectors. But what gives this coin its soul isn't the number printed on it, it's the memories it carries. Imagine the stories. The vendor who counted out coins under a lantern light. The conductor who dropped one in his metal box during a busy evening ride. The child who saved a few for a festival sweet. Every scratch and dent on a 1970 coin is part of someone's life. Hold one in your hand and you can almost feel the pulse of that time. The rhythm of the 1970s, the optimism, the simplicity, the sense of a country standing tall after years of struggle. This was the India of handwritten letters, radio songs, and long train journeys. A country still learning to balance old traditions with new ambitions. And through it all, the 50 paise coin was there. A small, steady companion in everyday life. Today, when we look back at the 50 paise 1970 coin, we see more than metal. We see resilience. A reflection of a people determined to make progress one step, one pace, at a time. It's incredible how something so ordinary could turn into something extraordinary with time. Once a humble coin for chai and bus fare. Now it's a piece of history held in the careful hands of collectors around the world. The shine might have faded, but the story never will. Because each of these coins carries a memory of a time when every half rupee mattered, and every dream felt within reach. That's the quiet power of the 50 paise 1970, a coin that taught a generation the value of small things, and the timeless beauty of persistence. The year was 1970. India was still finding its rhythm, growing, changing, and stepping confidently into a new decade. Amid this time of transformation, a small silver-colored coin began to circulate through millions of hands, the 20 paise coin of 1970. It wasn't just another piece of metal, it was a reflection of India's industrial rise and its new economic energy. This 20 paise coin carried a story that few people notice today, a story of design, material, and national identity. Made from nickel brass, the 1970 20 paise had a distinct shine, neither gold nor silver, but somewhere in between, giving it a sophisticated metallic glow. Its weight was around 4.5 grams, and it measured nearly 22 millimeters in diameter. Small enough to fit easily between your fingers, yet big enough to command attention. The shape? That's what made it truly unique. Instead of being round, the 20 paise coin of that era had 8 straight edges, forming a crisp polygon. This design wasn't random, it was chosen to help ordinary people, especially those who couldn't read, easily recognize the value by touch. On one side, it proudly displayed the Ashoka lion capital, India's emblem of strength and justice, standing tall above the motto Satyameva Jayate, truth alone triumphs. The words, Bharat, and India framed it on either side, a perfect balance between heritage and modernity. Flip it over, and you'd see the bold number 20 shining at the center, flanked by the word paise in both English and Hindi. Beneath that, the year 1970, a simple mark of time that would one day become a symbol of nostalgia. These coins were minted at India's main mints, Bombay, Calcutta, and Hyderabad. If you look closely below the date, you might spot tiny mint marks. A small dot for Bombay, a diamond or star for Hyderabad, and no mark for Calcutta. Each mark adds a layer of story, where the coin was born, which machines shaped it, which hands packed it, and where it first began its journey. Back in 1970, 20 paise carried real buying power. You could buy a cold drink, a packet of snacks, or even 2 postage stamps. For schoolchildren, it was treasure, a gateway to candies, comic books, and tiny joys of daily life. But the true beauty of the 20 paise coin lay not just in its spending value, but in its symbolism. It reflected India's push toward modernization, industries rising, cities expanding, technology entering everyday life. It was the coin of a young nation dreaming big. Over time, however, inflation started eroding its power. By the late 1980s, 20 paise could hardly buy anything, and by the 1990s, these coins began to vanish quietly from wallets and shop counters. What once ruled pockets became a forgotten relic, until collectors began rediscovering its worth. Today, a 20 paise coin from 1970 can be a prized collectible. In worn, circulated condition, it might fetch only a few rupees. But in crisp, uncirculated quality, where the shine still gleams and the edges remain sharp, it can command prices between 200 Indian rupees to 500 Indian rupees or more, depending on rarity and mint mark. Special varieties like those with minting errors, off-center strikes, double digits, or uneven edges, can climb even higher in value, sometimes crossing 1,000 Indian rupees to 3,000 Indian rupees, especially if graded and preserved well. What fascinates collectors most about the 1970 edition is its balanced design, clean, geometric, and unmistakably Indian. Every element, from the 8-sided shape to the bilingual script, shows thoughtful craftsmanship from a time when even small coins were made with national pride. And beyond the metal, there's emotion. Think about the countless hands that touched this 20 paise coin. The shopkeeper counting change, the mother giving pocket money, the conductor collecting fares, the student saving for a dream. Each coin carries invisible fingerprints of everyday life. When you hold a 1970 20 paise coin today, you're not just holding currency. You're holding a connection to the 1970s era of India, when optimism filled the air and the nation believed its best years were still ahead. It's amazing how such a small disc of metal can whisper so much history. The 20 paise 1970 isn't rare because of gold or silver, it's rare because of time. Every surviving piece is a survivor of decades, from the hands of people long gone, through markets and shops that no longer exist, into the present day where collectors cherish its story. Coins like these remind us that progress is built one small step, one paise, at a time. and that even a 20 paise coin, once ordinary, can become extraordinary with the passing of years. If you ever come across one, take a moment to notice its texture, its shine, the precise lines of its edges. The year 1970 engraved so clearly. It's not just metal. It's memory, craftsmanship, and the echo of a simpler time. The year was 1974. India was in motion, a nation rebuilding, experimenting, and expanding its horizons. Factories were humming, cities were growing, and a new generation was beginning to dream bigger than ever before. Amid that growth, a small yet powerful coin was in everyone's hand, the 50 paise coin of 1974. Half a rupee. It may not sound like much today, but back then it carried real weight, both in value and in meaning. The 50 paise coin was more than just currency. It was a bridge between the simple post-independence years and the ambitious modern India of the 1970s. This particular coin was made from nickel, strong, shiny, and cool to the touch. It weighed about 5 grams, giving it a reassuring heft when you held it. Its round shape, simple yet elegant, reflected the maturity of Indian coin design in that decade. There was nothing flashy about it, but everything about it felt precise, confident, and enduring. On the front face, the Ashoka lion capital stood tall and proud, 4 lions facing outward, symbolizing courage, truth, and national strength. Below it, the word Satyameva Jayate, truth alone triumphs, a phrase that had guided India since its birth as a free nation. To the left and right were Bharat and India, framing the emblem like 2 pillars of identity. Turn it over, and the reverse side was strikingly clean. At the center, the bold number 50 with the word paise below it, written in both English and Hindi. Around the edge, a simple border, no clutter, no ornate designs, just functional clarity. And beneath it all, the date 1974, a quiet marker of its time. The 50 paise 1974 coin was minted in multiple locations, Bombay, Calcutta, and Hyderabad. Each mint left a subtle signature beneath the year. A dot for Bombay, a diamond or star for Hyderabad, and no mark for Calcutta. For ordinary people, these marks meant nothing. But for collectors today, they're keys, identifying where each coin was struck and which version might be rarer. In those days, 50 paise went a long way. You could buy a full meal at a street stall, 2 bus rides, or even a ticket to a local movie. It was a symbol of daily life, small enough to lose in your pocket, yet powerful enough to make you feel rich for a moment. The metal itself told another story. Nickel coins like this one were built to last. They didn't rust easily, they kept their shine, and they survived decades of use. Many 1974 50 paise coins still look remarkably sharp today, a testament to the craftsmanship of that era. But it's not just about design or durability. The 50 paise 1974 coin also captures a cultural transition. It came at a time when India was industrializing fast, moving from a predominantly agricultural economy toward factories, machines, and new ambitions. This coin circulated through the hands of workers, students, farmers, soldiers, and families across every state. It was a silent companion to the everyday rhythm of a changing nation. Over the years, as inflation climbed, the power of 50 paise slowly faded. By the late 1990s, it could barely buy anything, and in the 2000s, it quietly disappeared from wallets and shop counters. What was once a symbol of value became a token of nostalgia. Today, the 1974 50 paise coin lives on in the world of collectors. In used condition, it might sell for 20 Indian rupees to 80 Indian rupees, depending on its mint mark. In mint or proof-like condition, with crisp details and no scratches, it can go for 300 Indian rupees to 600 Indian rupees, sometimes higher. Rare error coins, double strikes, misprints, or off-center designs, can climb into the 1,000 to 2,000 Indian rupees range. But ask any true collector and they'll tell you, its real worth isn't in rupees. It's in the story it tells, the story of an India that believed in growth, progress, and self-reliance. The 1974 50 paise coin isn't about wealth, it's about willpower. It's a reminder that every great journey starts small, even with half a rupee. When you hold one today, notice the cool metal surface, the subtle engraving of the lions, the weight that feels just right in your palm. It's more than a coin, it's a time capsule. You can almost hear the clink of change at a tea stall, the sound of a conductor's ticket punch, the chatter of shopkeepers counting coins at closing time. Each 50 paise coin from 1974 carries traces of countless lives, of the people who earned it, spent it, saved it, and moved on. And yet, it remains, untouched by time, glowing faintly with memory. That's the quiet magic of coins. They don't speak, but they remember everything. The 1974 50 paise coin remembers a country full of hope and hustle. It reminds us of a time when half a rupee could buy a world of possibilities. Even though it no longer circulates, its story continues to travel. Through collectors' hands, through old drawers and forgotten boxes. Through the hearts of people who grew up with it jingling in their pockets. The 50 paise 1974 coin may be small, but it stands tall as a symbol of endurance. Proof that even simple things, when made with care and meaning, can outlive generations. By the mid-1980s, India had entered a new phase, the decade of television, expanding industries and changing lifestyles. The cities were louder, the roads busier, and technology was starting to enter ordinary homes. And yet, amid all this modernization, there was still one tiny coin quietly circulating through the hands of millions. The humble 1 paise coin of 1986. It was the smallest unit of Indian currency, the lowest denomination. But for decades, it held a place of real importance. In its tiny round shape lived a story of transition, value, and memory. The 1 paise 1986 coin was made of aluminium magnesium alloy, a lightweight material that gave it a dull silvery shine. It weighed only 0.75 grams, so light it almost felt like holding nothing at all. Its diameter was around 18 millimeters, just enough for a simple design that reflected its modest worth. On the obverse, like every modern Indian coin, stood the Ashoka lion capital, the national emblem, strong and dignified with the words, Bharat, and India on either side. Flip the coin and on the reverse you'd find the large numeral 1, with paise written below in both Hindi and English. At the bottom, the year 1986 marked its minting, and just beneath that, a small mint mark telling its origin. A dot for Bombay, a star for Hyderabad, or no mark for Calcutta. It was a simple coin, small, light, and often overlooked, but in its simplicity lay its charm. Back in 1986, 1 paise was barely enough to buy anything significant, but it still had meaning. You could find it as part of a change. 1 paise, 2 paise, 5 paise, coins that jingled together in every shop, tea stall, and marketplace. For older generations, the 1 paise coin was more than currency. It was a reminder of earlier decades when even the smallest value mattered. A time when saving coins in a jar could buy something useful later. A time when every paisa counted. By the 1980s, inflation had started to shrink the practical value of the 1 paise coin. It remained in use more for symbolic and accounting purposes than for real transactions. But still, the Reserve Bank of India continued to mint it, out of tradition, out of respect for completeness. And perhaps out of the belief that someday, every value should be acknowledged. The aluminium composition was chosen for cost efficiency. It was cheap, durable, and easy to mint in massive numbers. Tens of millions of 1 paise coins were produced across India in 1986. They passed through hands quickly, unnoticed, often given as part of small change or used in bundles during wholesale transactions. Because of its light weight and low worth, most people didn't keep them. They were lost in the corners of drawers, dropped on the ground, or forgotten in old wallets. Over time, that forgetfulness turned them into something rare. Today, finding a clean 1 paise coin from 1986 is like discovering a time capsule from a simpler India. A world before mobile phones, before plastic currency, before digital payments. A time when even a single paise had a place in the rhythm of everyday life. For collectors, these coins now hold nostalgic value more than monetary worth. A regular, circulated 1 paise 1986 coin might only fetch 5 Indian rupees to 20 Indian rupees. But if it's in mint condition, sharp, shiny, unbent, it can reach 50 Indian rupees to 150 Indian rupees. Rare error coins with misprints, blank edges, or double strikes can fetch higher prices, sometimes up to 500 Indian rupees or 1,000 Indian rupees among passionate numismatists. But again, the real worth of this coin isn't its price, it's its story. It tells of a time when India still respected the smallest unit of money. When children learned the value of savings through small coins like this. When counting each paise was part of growing up. The 1 paise coin of 1986 is the closing chapter of an era. It represents the final years when 1 paise coins were still minted in India. Soon after, by the 1990s, inflation rendered them meaningless, and by 2011, all coins below 25 paise were officially demonetized. The tiny 1 paise, once so common, so ordinary, quietly vanished from circulation. Yet, in the hands of collectors it still lives on. Its aluminium body may seem fragile, but its spirit is not. It symbolizes how even the smallest denomination played a part in India's journey, from scarcity to growth, from coins to currency notes, and now to digital transactions. When you hold a 1 paise coin from 1986, It almost feels unreal. It's so light that it barely weighs anything, but it carries decades of memory. It carries the story of small shops, village markets, and dusty roads. It carries laughter, effort, savings, and childhood dreams. It reminds us of an India where every coin had value, where a child could smile with a single paise, and where small change wasn't just about money, it was about living within means, sharing, and surviving together. This coin may be tiny, but it tells a mighty story. A story of how a nation grew from coins that barely weighed a gram, to a global economy now driven by invisible currency. The 1 paise 1986 coin stands as a whisper from that past. A gentle reminder that no value is ever too small, no effort ever wasted, and no piece of history ever truly lost.